making headlines this hour. President Dr. Muiz extended his greetings to the people of the Maldives on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the National Library of the Maldives and Maldives Library Day. Adam Sharif Umar, Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works, describes the commitment of time and resources to learning as a moral and national imperative. And the government begins issuing new land registries for the Gulifalo residential plots.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz describes every library as an everlasting flaming torch that illuminates the path around us.
President Dr. Muiz extended his greetings to the people of the Maldives on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the National Library of the Maldives and Maldives Library Day. He conveyed his message through a post on his official X account. In his post, the president described every library as an everlasting flaming torch that illuminates the path around us. He also expressed his gratitude and conveyed his best wishes for Maldives Library Day to all dedicated librarians. The National Library is the largest archive in the Maldives, housing a variety of books on the rich history of the country and its people. The humble beginnings of the Qaumi Qutb Khana goes back to the 20th century, 2 decades before Maldives gained independence from British colonial rule. In 1948, the state library was renamed from Dawlat-e Qutb Khana to Majidi Qutb Khana. Amin Didi chose the name after one of the famous political thinkers and statesmen of Maldives, Abdul Majid Ranna Banderi Kiligafano. The library was renamed a second time on June 1, 1982 by President Maumoon Abdul Qayyum as Qaumi Qutb Khana or Transnational Library. The notion of national and public libraries was introduced in this era.
Adam Sharif Umar, Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works, describes the commitment of time and resources to learning as the most valuable investment an individual can make, in a speech reaffirming the pivotal role of education in personal development and national progress.
Minister Adam Sharif's address was delivered at the 2025 graduation ceremony of MAPS College, where he presided as guest of honor. His remarks opened with an acknowledgement of the challenges faced by students in pursuit of higher education. Minister Adam Sharif credited the graduates' accomplishments to sustained personal effort, substantial sacrifice, and the dedicated support of educators and mentors, a convergence of discipline, resilience, and communal guidance. The minister continued by drawing attention to the broader significance of academic achievement. He observed that such success remains out of reach for many, requiring not only aptitude but also fortitude. In his assessment, learning stands among the most arduous human endeavors, surpassing other worldly pursuits in rigor and intensity. The minister, addressing the role of education beyond formal attainment, framed it as a pursuit imbued with both moral and practical weight. He described it as a means to nurture spiritual fulfillment, secure future prosperity, and establish a purposeful framework for life, an investment whose benefits unfold across time and circumstance. He noted that trajectory does not end at graduation. He elaborated that education serves as a gateway to innovation and discovery, unlocking new ideas and deepening personal capacity. In urging graduates to maintain intellectual momentum, he positioned lifelong learning as a vital tool for navigating uncertainty and shaping meaningful change. Closing his address, Minister Adam Sharif expressed confidence in the graduates' readiness to engage with the world ahead. He offered the view that a sustained commitment to learning would remain their greatest strength, empowering them to meet complexity with clarity and translate education into lasting impact.
The government begins issuing new land registries for the Gulifalo residential plots following a change in plot location due to revisions in the land use plan. The new land registry handover was initiated by the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure as the government aims to complete the process within the next 2 months. Following the land use plan revision, a redraw was held on the 31st of May to determine the location of the land plots under the Bimveria scheme as previous allocations were invalidated. The original agreements have now been cancelled and the plots reallocated from a new location. Deputy Minister of Housing, Construction and Infrastructure Ibrahim Nazim told PSM News that the registration process is being conducted on an appointment basis, adding that the ministry is hoping to complete the process within the next 2 months. The land use plan for Gulifalo was prepared by the former government without allocating adequate space for essential services. Additionally, some plots are assigned from areas that have not yet been reclaimed. The Gulifalo land use plan has now been revised 3 times. The Maldives National University graduates its inaugural class of rangers trained to oversee the nation's protected ecological zones, marking a significant development in the country's environmental conservation efforts.
The initiative is a key component of the government's Enderi project designed to enhance capacity for the stewardship of sensitive natural areas. The training program, developed through a partnership between the Ministry of Tourism and Environment and the MNU, saw 17 individuals successfully complete its inaugural course. Formally launched under an agreement signed in January, the initiative was conceived to provide participants with the technical and legal competencies required to manage protected sites throughout the country. Graduation ceremonies were held at MNU's campus in Gan, Lama Atoll, where the program was initially piloted. Among the newly certified rangers were 10 scholarship recipients from the atoll and 7 individuals already engaged in conservation work across the country. Coursework covered a broad spectrum of subjects including environmental science, environmental law and enforcement, public engagement strategies, basic computing, and navigation. By integrating both academic and practical components, the curriculum sought to prepare rangers for field deployment and community-based conservation. While the Maldives maintains numerous protected areas, officials from the Environment Ministry noted that ranger numbers remain limited. Minister of Environment Tariq Ibrahim has described their responsibilities as vital to national environmental policy, characterizing their work as both demanding and indispensable. He stated that the government plans to broaden the training initiative in the months ahead. He said the goal is to increase the ranger workforce to strengthen the long-term management of the country's natural heritage.
Maldives Ports Limited says efforts are already underway to upgrade the North Harbour in the capital Male to offer easier access to services. The North Harbour is one of the busiest areas in the capital, with dozens of vessels using the harbour to load and unload cargo on a daily basis, prompting MPL to initiate efforts to upgrade the harbour to offer easier access to services. MPL Manager of Business Development Muhammad Ayman Ali, speaking on PSM News Rajamir, the program, said the company is working to establish easy access to services for the public and businesses, including water and fuel supply, along with the development of additional storage facilities in the North Harbour. Ayman said the company had to devise a development plan without disrupting services and the commercial activity around the heavily congested area around the North Harbour. According to Ayman, MPL is relocating some of the services being provided by North Harbour to the industrial island Tilafushi, which is designed to address the space constraints in the North Harbour. Ayman also said the MPL is working to establish designated zones to unload cargo aimed at improving traffic flow around the North Harbour. MPL has been tasked with the operation of the harbour on the northern side of Male, stretching from the MPL area into the intersection of the local market in front of the fish market. The area was officially handed over to MPL under an agreement between the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation on the 4th of July. According to the National Social Protection Agency, more than 14,000 people have been registered in the Disability Register as of June.
The government is working to complete the National Register of Persons with Disabilities to gather essential information for providing necessary assistance, an initiative aimed to ensure that people with disabilities can fully participate in society and access basic services, addressing the need for accurate data to support them effectively. According to statistics shared by NSPA, 14,412 people were registered in the Disability Register as of June this year under 8 different categories, with most registered with physical disabilities. A total of 4,117 people have registered in this section alone, including 1,818 women and 2,299 men. People with multiple disabilities totaled at 3,224, which included 1,134 women and 2,090 men, while 1,889 people with mental disabilities were registered, 819 women and 1,070 for men. The data showed that 1,793 people with mental disabilities were registered, including 722 women and 1,071 men. In addition, the register includes a total of 1,745 individuals with hearing and speech disabilities, including 922 women and 823 men. The data also showed people with visual impairment had crossed 1,003, which included 471 women and 532 men. A total of 586 people with autism were registered, which included 123 women and 463 men, along with 55 persons with learning disabilities, 19 women and 36 men.
According to the Central Bank, Maldives Monetary Authority, the Maldives fish exports have increased by 66% in the first 5 months of the year. According to MMA's latest monthly statistics report, the Maldives exported 38,800 metric tons of fish in the first 5 months of this year, a significant increase of 66% compared to the same period last year. In 2024, 23,356 metric tons of fish were exported during the same period. The majority of exports comprised fresh and frozen fish. In the first 5 months of this year, 35,260 metric tons of fish were exported, a 79% increase compared to the same period last year. Exports were recorded at 19,689 metric tons during the same period last year. Statistics show the Maldives exported 31,157 metric tons of skipjack tuna during the period, doubling last year's skipjack tuna exports with a 109% increase. In the first 5 months of 2024, 14,877 metric tons of skipjack tuna were exported. In contrast, canned fish exports declined by 14% in the first 5 months of the year. This year, 2,604 metric tons of canned fish were exported compared to 3,049 metric tons during the same period last year. The government aims to further expand the fishing industry and position it as one of the largest revenue-generating industries in the Maldives. The government is working to develop the necessary facilities to address the problems faced by the fishing industry within the first 3 years of its current term. To this end, Maldives Industrial Fisheries Company Limited is working to construct a new fish processing plant in Hulumale with the assistance of the Islamic Development Bank. The facility, which is being built jointly by ISDB and the government of Maldives, involves a loan of $65 million to increase MIFCO's fish processing capacity. Once completed, this facility will have a capacity to handle 35 tons of fish. According to figures released by Mira, the agency has received $648,000 as Zakat al-Mal in the past month, double the amount collected during the same period last year. Mira collected a total of $687,930.36 in Zakat al-Mal last month, representing a 145% increase from $278,876.52 collected during the same month last year. According to official statistics, $3.99 million has been collected as Zakat al-Mal so far this year. This marks a 21% increase compared to $3.29 million collected in the same period last year. Zakat al-Mal is a religious obligation required of individuals whose wealth has reached the nisab threshold and has remained above the threshold for 1 lunar year. It can be paid at any time of the year. The Ministry of Islamic Affairs determines the obligatory nisab for Zakat al-Mal in the Maldives. The ministry last revised the nisab in April this year. The current nisab is $600. The nisab is based on the value of gold and silver and changes according to changes in the price of gold and silver in the global market. If an individual possesses wealth equal to or greater than the nisab for over a lunar year, he is obliged to pay 2.5% of his wealth as zakat. A forensic diving course that was being conducted in Vani Dal Atoll concludes. The course, organized by the National College of Policing and Law Enforcement, combined open water dive, advanced open water dive, emergency first response or EFR, rescue diving, and forensic diving modules. The exercises began on the 1st of June with the aim of enhancing the ability of the participants to conduct underwater investigations and train officers in technical and practical skills required for forensic diving operations. The 40-day training course has now concluded. The closing ceremony was graced by Commissioner of Police Ismail Naveen. Commissioner Naveen, speaking at the ceremony, congratulated the graduates and stressed the importance of specialized police skills such as forensic diving. 10 police officers from 4 countries completed the course. This includes 5 officers from the Maldives as well as participants from Saudi Arabia, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka. Wall Street ends lower with Meta Platforms weighing on the S&P 500 after President Donald Trump intensified his tariff offensive against Canada, amplifying the uncertainty swirling around U.S. trade policy.
Trump, late on the 10th of July, ramped up his tariff assault on Canada, saying the U.S. would impose a 35% tariff on imports next month and plan to impose blanket tariffs of 15 or 20% on most other trading partners. The S&P 500 eased from a record high the day before, with caution prevailing after Trump on Thursday imposed 50% tariffs on Brazil and as the European Union braced for a possible letter from Trump with details on fresh tariffs. Shares of Nvidia hit an intraday record high. Drone makers AeroVironment and Kratos Defense and Security Solutions jumped after U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered a surge in drone production and deployment. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 lost 21.62 points to end at 6,258.84 points, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 48.44 points to 20,582.23. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 291.06 points to 44,359.58. Investors will soon turn their attention to second quarter reporting season with a focus on how Trump's on-again, off-again tariffs are affecting major U.S. companies. Levi Strauss & Co. jumped after the appeal seller raised its annual revenue and profit forecasts and beat quarterly estimates. Meta Platforms fell after reports that the company is very unlikely to offer more changes to its pay or consent model, increasing the risk of fresh EU antitrust charges and hefty daily fines. Kraft Heinz closed higher after the Wall Street Journal reported the company is preparing to break itself up as the packaged food maker grapples with persistent weakness in demand for its higher-priced brands.
The top UN expert on Palestinian rights tells that the United States placed sanctions on her to undermine her capacity to do her work, which the U.S. said amounted to unfair criticism of Israel.
On the 9th of July, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that Francesca Albanese would be added to the U.S. sanctions list for her actions, which he described as prompting illegitimate prosecutions of Israelis at the International Criminal Court. Albanese said she faces asset freezes and potential travel restrictions, warning it could set a dangerous precedent for human rights defenders worldwide.
The U.S. have never sanctioned a UN official in their entire history. Not other countries. This is the first. I'm the first UN official, albeit in an independent capacity, to be sanctioned by a member state. So it's been quite significant. I'm still absorbing and making sense of it. Of course, it's a disgrace. And it's a violation of the 1946 Convention on Privileges and Immunities, of which the United States is party.
The UN Special Reporter on Human Rights in the occupied Palestinian territories is one of dozens of experts appointed by the 47-member UN Human Rights Council to report on specific global issues. The Italian lawyer and academic has been a vocal critic of Israel's treatment of Palestinians. She recently published a report calling on states at the UN Council to impose an arms embargo and cut off trade and financial ties with Israel, while accusing the U.S. ally of waging a genocidal campaign in Gaza. Israel's mission in Geneva said the report was legally groundless, defamatory, and a flagrant abuse of her office. The UN Human Rights Office confirmed on Friday that she is the first special reporter to be sanctioned and called for the decision to be reversed. The same day, the European Union said it deeply regrets the U.S. decision. President Donald Trump's administration in June imposed sanctions on 4 judges at the International Criminal Court. Israel has faced accusations of genocide at the International Court of Justice and of war crimes at the ICC over its devastating military assault on Gaza. Israel strongly denies the accusations and says its campaign amounts to self-defense after a deadly October 2023 Hamas attack.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov meets his North Korean counterpart in Wonsan, the latest visit by a senior Russian official to the isolated state amid warming ties between the countries.
Lavrov's visit, which started on July 11th and is scheduled to conclude on the 13th of July, includes a meeting with North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Son-hui. Lavrov flew out of the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur following the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and arrived in Wonsan, North Korea's eastern coastal city, which is home to a recently opened resort and known for its missile and naval facilities. Lavrov's visit is the latest high-level meeting between the two countries amid a dramatic upgrading of their strategic cooperation that now includes a mutual defense pact. The South Korean intelligence service had said North Korea may be preparing to deploy additional troops in July or August after sending more than 10,000 soldiers to fight with Russia in the war against Ukraine. North Korea has agreed to dispatch 6,000 military engineers and builders for reconstruction in Russia's Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces launched a mass cross-border incursion nearly a year ago.
Top seed Jannik Sinner ensures Novak Djokovic will be absent from a Wimbledon men's singles final for the first time in 8 years after handing the Serbian great a brutal center court battering.
Italian Sinner lost both his previous Wimbledon duels with Djokovic but turned the tables in emphatic fashion as his power and precision proved too much for the seven-time champion who, at 38, looked every bit his age in a humbling 6-3, 6-3 and 6-4 loss. In his first Wimbledon final, the 23-year-old Sinner will face Spain's Carlos Alcaraz in a tantalizing rematch of their recent French Open humdinger, which the Italian lost after battling for more than 5 hours, squandering 3 championship points. Alcaraz stayed on course for a Wimbledon three-peat with a defeat of Taylor Fritz. Sinner and Alcaraz ranks first and second respectively in the official ATP single official rankings. Alcaraz leads Sinner 8-4 in Lexus ATP head-to-head. This will be their second consecutive meeting in a Grand Slam final.
Samsung Electronics unveils its thinner, lighter, new foldable phones at Dogal Greenhouse in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, New York, as it aims to fend off Chinese competition in the higher margin premium segment that remains untapped by arch-rival Apple.
For Samsung, the stakes are high. The South Korean company lost its global smartphone crown to Apple in 2023 and faces growing competition from Chinese rivals like Huawei and Honor. Meanwhile, Samsung's mainstay chip business has suffered a profit slump stemming in part from its delayed supply of artificial intelligence chips to Nvidia.
Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7 represent the pinnacle of our innovation. This is more than just a new flip or fold.
Samsung aims to take a leadership position in AI by enhancing cooperation with external partners like Google. The smartphone maker increased the U.S. price of Galaxy Z Fold 7 to $1,999 by 5% from its predecessor Fold 6. Galaxy Z Fold 7 is equipped with Qualcomm's fast processor Snapdragon 8 Elite, while Galaxy Z Flip 7 is powered by Samsung's in-house Exynos chips. Analysts said Samsung's new models tackled some of the issues with foldable phones such as bulkiness and would create a premium halo around the brand. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 weighs 10% less than its predecessor and is 26% thinner. Pre-order started on the 9th of July and it will become available from July 25th, 2025.
That's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.